Hello everyone, I am Sukhdeep PGT English from K.V No. 1 Amritsar, Cantt. Today we are going to discuss the story Should Visit Hit Mommy from the book Vistas. Today's lesson is divided into 4 parts: Introduction to the author, Introduction to the characters, Summary with explanation of difficult words and phrases, and finally question and answers. So let's start with our lesson. Should Visit Hit Mommy is written by John Hoyer Updike. John Hoyer Updike was an American novelist, a poet, short story writer, art and literary critic. He was also a winner of the prestigious Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. His timeline is 1932 to 2009. Now let's move to the introduction of the characters. In this story, the main characters are Jack, the father, Joanne or Jo, the daughter, who is 4 years old, Claire, the mother, Bobby, Joanne's brother or Jack's son, who is 2 years old, Roger, Roger's mommy, Wise Owl, and Wizard. Now let's start discussing the story. Jack, the protagonist of the story, would tell his daughter Joanne a story every day at bedtime and on Saturday afternoons to get her to sleep. These stories used to be created instantly in his head and would always follow a similar plot. There would be an animal named Roger who would go to the wise owl with a unique problem. Roger could be any animal. It could be Roger Fish, Roger Squirrel, or Roger Chipmunk. The wise owl would direct Roger to a wizard for a solution. Students, now let's discuss who is a wizard. A wizard is a person who is believed to have special magical powers. The other names for a wizard are mage, warlock, and enchanter. The wizard would solve the problem and would ask Roger for more money than he had. He would also tell Roger where to find the extra money. In this particular story, money is represented by penny. Penny is a unit of currency in various countries. It is usually the smallest denomination within a currency system. Roger would find the money, pay the wizard, and run off to play with his friends. Afterwards, Roger would go home and have dinner with his parents. Of late, Jack had begun to find the storytelling sessions tiring, especially on Saturdays. Joanne or Jo never fell asleep anymore. Students, the reason can be the predictability of the stories. Since the stories were following a similar pattern or similar plot, so the stories became very, very predictable for Joanne. Jack started telling these stories to Joanne when she was 2 years old. Today she is 4 years old. So in these 2 years she has become more logical and more intelligent. One Saturday, Jack started to tell Joanne the story of Roger Skunk. Now skunk was the new animal. The problem with Roger Skunk was that he smelled very, very bad. No animal liked to play with a stinky skunk. Now students, let's discuss who is a skunk. Skunks are also called as polecats. They are black and white mammals with a big tail. These animals are legendary for their powerful predator deterrent smell, a hard to remove horrible smelling spray, which is generally an oily liquid produced by a gland under its long tail. Its foul mist can travel as far as 10 feet. As usual, Roger suffered indignity, alienation, disapproval, and withdrawal. Roger Skunk smelled so bad that no animal liked to play with it. Here Jack drew on his own childhood memories, to detail how others made fun of Roger Skunk. He believed that his daughter should be aware of the realities of the world. Jack then continued with his usual storyline. Roger Skunk went to the wise owl. Seeing him cry, the wise owl advises him to meet the wizard. The wizard, as usual, demanded money and then used his magic wand and cast a spell. Let's see what did the wizard say. The wizard said, Abracadabra, hocus poo, Roger Skunk, how do you do? Roses, bozes, pull an ear, Roger Skunk, you never fear. Bingo. I'll repeat in the style of wizard. Abracadabra, hocus poo, Roger Skunk, how do you do? Roses, bozes, pull an ear, Roger Skunk, you never fear. Bingo. Roger Skunk got the smell of roses. He was fragrant and aromatic and accepted by his friends. Everybody loved him and everybody liked to play with him. During this time, Jo interrupted the narration several times. Once she asked if magic was real. Jack assured her that it was real in stories, noticing that Jo is becoming logical with every passing day. Intermittently, that is, in between, Jack could hear his pregnant wife Claire painting and shifting furniture, and he felt guilty that Claire was working all alone. Let me tell you, students, that Claire was 6 months pregnant at that time. He noticed that Jo's attention had started to wander, to dwindle, as she thought that it was the end of the story. He didn't like it. He didn't like when women took him for granted. So here comes a twist. Jack deliberately, intentionally brings a twist, a digression, a deviation. He told Jo how when Roger Skunk reached home, his mother was very unhappy that he smelled of roses. She said that Roger Skunk didn't smell like her baby. Mother took Roger to the wizard and hit the wizard on the head with an umbrella and explained him how his magic had angered her. The poor wizard, having hit by mother, spelled end the magic, and Roger smelled as foul as he did earlier. And after that, Roger's mother took him back home. Later on, the skunk family had dinner together, and at night, Roger Skunk's mother hugged him, telling him that he smelled just like a baby and that she loved him. Jo was displeased and wanted the wizard to hit the mother, Skunk on the head, and refused to change the smell. However, Jack ignored her and ended the story. He thought Jo should accept his decisions, and he tried to establish a parental commanding power and authority over her. Unhappy with the new ending, Joanne or Jo called the mother skunk stupid. Jack defended Mother Skunk, almost as he was defending his own mother. Jo then asked Jack to tell her the same story the next day, but with the ending she wanted. She insisted on this till Jack left the room. Now here we'll discuss why Joanne wanted the story to end her way. Jack was telling the story from the point of view of the parents. He wanted to put forth the point that parents are always right. But Jo also wanted to insist the point that children also had their own wishes. They had their aspirations, and those aspirations should be respected. So now there is a kind of clash, and this is an evident example of generation gap. When Jack finally went downstairs, his wife, Claire, was painting a chair. Around then, half of the woodwork was in one color and the other half in another color. Means one part of the furniture was new and one part of the furniture was old. Claire said, maybe in a taunting way. That was a long story. Jack felt caught in an ugly middle position. Students will discuss this term ugly middle position because it is very important from the examination point of view, and it is very important from the thematic point of view also. In the end, Jack felt that he was caught in a cage with his wife Claire. He didn't want to move, he didn't want to talk to her, he didn't want to touch her. So our story ends here. Now let's discuss some of the important points of the story. Jack told and narrated the story taking cues from his own childhood. He equated Mother Skunk with his own mother. On the other hand, Joanne drew a parallel between herself and Roger Skunk. There was evident example of generation gap. These days we use the term digital divide for that. Parents think they are right and children think they are also right. So here is a question that how to maintain the balance in the family. Let's discuss the question answers so that we can find answers to all these problems. So students, our question number 1 is, what is the moral issue that the story raises? The answer can be the generation gap, the evident contrast between the thinking, perspective, point of view of a parent and that of a child. The contrast is very much visible in the thought process of Jack and Joanne. Jack wanted to tell her that parents are always right. He wanted to assert the fact that parents can never take wrong decisions for their children. On the other hand, Joanne was learning something opposite. The way she learned that mother was stupid. Jack never wanted to teach her this. He wanted his daughter to learn the right kind of value system. So the moral issue is difference of opinion, difference in thought process, perspective, and point of view of parents and children. Second question is, how does Joe want the story to end and why? As we have discussed, Jo wanted the story to end her own way. She wanted that Wizard should hit the mother back, the mommy back, and that Roger should finally get the smell of roses. Now, why she wanted this kind of end? She wanted this kind of end because she thought that children also have their own point of view. They also have their own aspiration. They also have their own dreams. So she wants a child's perspective to the story. Now students, let's move on to the third question. Why does Jack insist that it was the wizard that was hit and not the mother? Students, I think it is in continuation with question number 2 only. Earlier we discussed about Joanne's attitude and now we are going to discuss Jack's attitude. Jack wanted to assert typical parental attitude or typical parental authority. So he ended the story his own way. Again, I would like to assert that there was a generation gap. Now let's discuss a very important question. What makes Jack caught in an ugly middle position? Now this is very important from the examination perspective. Jack feels to be in an ugly middle position since both his wife and his daughter are in his presence and help. He is unable to choose between the two. Claire is 6 months pregnant. She is painting furniture and expects Jack to help her. Jack feels guilty for not helping her. On the other hand, all his efforts to make Joanne fall asleep go in vain. He failed to make his daughter understand the perspective of parents. So whatever he wanted to do failed miserably. There is one more perception to its students, that he was caught between a child's perspective and a parent's perspective. So in the end we can say everything he wanted to do was left undone. Next question. What is your stance regarding the two endings to the Roger Skunk story? Students, there are two endings. One, the real ending, and the second, which Joe wanted. One ending is the real ending, which is the mature ending, which is the ending of a parent. Second ending is a wishful thinking, the ending of a child from a child's perspective. So it is a childish ending. One ending talks about the importance of parents and their decisions in the life of their children. Second ending talks about the wishes and aspirations of the children. So both the endings are correct. We can say parents are right and children are also right. What is required here? What is the need of the hour? To strike a balance between two thought processes, two perspectives. Okay, students, so you can write this answer in your own way. Last question. Why is an adult's perspective on life different from that of child? Students, I guess all the questions which are given in your textbook are in continuation of each other. Let's try to decode this question. An adult comes across all sorts of experiences, good and bad, pleasant, unpleasant, happy, sad, encouraging, and discouraging. The child lives a very protective and cushioned kind of life, a sheltered life. They live in a rosy dream world. So, a parent has seen all the hardships and realities of life. So, whatever decisions they take from that perspective. Whereas a child till a certain age lives in a dream world. So a child is completely ignorant and unaware about the realities of life. And that is reflected in this story. With age, Jo is becoming logical, correct? But she's still a child. Her thinking is still very, very childish. So we end our question answer session here, students. Let's discuss few important points from the story. We can say it is a story within a story because in the background we have the story of Jack, Joanne, Claire and Bobby. In the foreground we have the story of Roger, Roger's skunk, Roger's mommy, Wise Owl and the wizard. Now this story is also having traces of fable. A fable is a short story with a moral message and the important characters are generally animals. I will not say that it is completely a fable, but yes, it is definitely having the traces of a fable. So students, today we are going to end this lesson here only. I hope you have understood each and everything of the lesson. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.